We're in a place where the witness told us that the animal he saw came from inside a building, which is a new one on me. Now, let's just quickly rewind to a couple of months ago. I was making the film in the tunnels. It was the last video I put up on this channel. Now, whilst we were putting everything away, a guy turned up, and this guy looked like a extra from Romper Stomper. If you don't know what that movie is, I'll put a picture up of what they look like in that film. Basically, a skinhead, tattoos all over his neck, tattoos on his hands, like a tattooed tear under his eye. He looked like a right double-hard bastard. Now, he comes jumping over. "What are you doing, lads? What are you doing?" So I said, "We're just making a film about the river." "What?" He said, "Dressed like that." And I've got all my dogman gear with my knife strapped to me and my bloody radio. And I said, "Well, yeah, actually, I've been in that cave that's under here." But he jumps back, he says, "You must be effing mad." So I said, "Well, it's all right." He said, "It's not." I said, "It's not going to collapse or anything." He said, "No, you must be effing mad because of all the weird shit that goes on around here." So I looked at him and said, "What do you mean weird shit?" He said, "You know, people, they see cavemen and wolfmen and ghosts and all sorts of weird shit around here." So with that, I said, "Well, actually, I'm down here looking for weird shit like that." So I quickly explained to him what the YouTube channel was about, what we do. He stood and listened to it all, and he didn't raise an eyelid, he didn't smirk, anything. He then proceeds to tell me that he's seen something like what we're looking for. So I'm like, "This is good, I'll have a bit of this." I said, "Sit down, tell me what you've seen." So he sits here, basically where I am. He starts telling me he saw this animal. So I said, "When was it?" He said he thinks it was 2019, August 2019. And he was fishing. In fact, he come clean, he said he weren't fishing, he was poaching. He had nets with him. And at the time, he was on this river, but a lot further up. I'll try and show you on a map where it is. A lot further up in the hills, the river gets a lot smaller. I think it actually changes its name to Eagly Brook or something like that. But he's on this river, and I knew when he said to me he was behind the old mill, the old paper mill, because I fished on that river as well. So I knew exactly where he was. And he says he was sat on the weir, deciding which way to put his nets out. So I asked him, "Is it the black weir that's got all the black stone on it and it's all crumbled?" "Yep." I said, "So we're in the right place. I know where he is and what he's talking about, what he's explaining." So it becomes a bit more credible. He tells me he always takes a beer with him. So he's got all his stuff out of his bag, gets his beer, sits on the edge of the weir, cracks his can open, and then he said as soon as he cracked that can open, something made a noise up on the hill where the mill is. We just click to a shot of the mill now. If you look, there's like a muddy rock straight slope going up, and a couple of doorways up there. He said he's adamant that this noise came from one of them doorways, and the noise, he said, was wood scraping on concrete. When the doors swelled and you can't quite open it proper, and then soil and mud and rocks and stuff all falling. He said this noise was getting closer and closer and closer. Then it turned to branches breaking, and you're just your general, someone like running through a, man keeps touching that, sorry, like someone, he said like someone or something running just through bushes. Now at first he told us he thought it was a deer. Then he realised that how has a deer got in there? Must be a person. So this noise is getting closer and closer to the fence. Now the fence, if you just look on this shot, it's 10 feet away from where he sat. And this thing came right up to the fence. Now it's dark, He's not got a light on. It's not pitch black, but he says it's dark. I mean, he knew, he could tell something was stood there and it weren't stood upright. So he then clicks to thinking it must be a deer then. So he gets his torch, puts his torch on it, and he said, F me. He said it was a dog, but a big dog. He said as big as nearly a horse. So I said, what colour was it? He said it was like a grey, browny, salt and pepper, a bit like my beard when it grows, a bit grey and black. I said, did it have a tail? I don't know. He said, I don't know if it had a tail. He said its ears were stuck up right on its head. So I asked him any other features. He said its eyes were glowing back, but not like a cat's eyes. He said he'd do like a creamy white glow back. I asked him, could you see its mouth? He said, yeah, I could see its mouth, but there were no teeth. Couldn't see any teeth on show. Just this thing staring at him. He says to me that he's in shock and he can't move. He doesn't know what to do. He's not quite sure what he's seeing. And then it cocked its head like that. It like did the movie. How dogs do that a bit. And he said that must have jolted him, must have woke him up. He said because all he remembers doing is grabbing the bag and running off, screaming and shouting like a baby, like a kid. He said, and look at me. He said, do I look like the kind of person who would run off screaming and shouting for the mummy? I said, no, you don't. He said, well, that thing scared me that bad. I was back to a 6-year-old boy again. So I said, and what happened then? What did you do? He said, I'd left everything. He said, I just went home. It never ever went back for it. All his stuff still sat there. I'm surprised that we never found it actually. But yeah, like I said, this building that we're investigating. So that was 2019. He saw this animal. He heard this animal come out of this building. So we've turned up there last week to go inside and try and see if there's any prints or hair or anything, any sign of an animal living in there. Unbeknown to us, since that gap, there's security on the land and there's cameras on the land. Now, I only found this out as I got there, stuck the drone up and had a fly around, spotted the cameras and the people in there. Now, we've come a long way to do this. We've got there's 3 guys who's had a day each off work to make this film. So we were going in one way or the other.